Welcome to Beyond the Talking Points. Today is Thursday. I'm Josh Jennings. My cohort in crime, David Riley, he's out getting some news across the county that's going on. He's going to join us a little bit later, and we'd like to welcome you to our show tonight. We got a good show lined up. The first segment this evening, we're talking with Mr. Kyle Marshall. He is a property owner up in Whitwell who's been affected by the urban growth plan that's come out. The past couple of shows, we've talked to Jasper's city mayor, Paul Wayne Evans, talked about some pros of the urban growth plan. Also last week, we had Whitwell's city mayor, Cindy Easterly, on with us. And so tonight, Kyle's going to talk to us a little bit about the cons of urban growth and how that affects folks that may be in that plan. A little later, Patrick O'Hagan is going to join us. He's with the, Tennessee Career Center here in Kimball. And then the last segment of our show, we're going to talk about some national politics. David will be back by then. Kyle, we appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you.
Glad you're here with us. So the last couple of shows, I don't know if you got to see it or not, but we had the mayors on, and they talked a little bit about the urban growth plan, and some laws have passed lately in the legislature about how things go on. And they talked about the good things that come. So we wanted you on as a property owner to tell us a little bit about why you're opposed to the growth plan. And coming into
in
this
entirety as it is right now.
So maybe tell us a little bit about how it affects you and how you think it's not the best thing for a property owner like yourself.
Okay, well, sometimes I think, like all of us, there's some concern about taxes and what kind of regulations it's going to apply to us. Now, last year there was a law passed at the legislature to where a city could not annex by ordinance, which Tennessee was last of 3 states to do that, to have that.
So one of the things I understood, if one resident in that growth plan under the referendum says, no, we don't want this, then the measure fails. Is that right? Or you thought maybe there could be some gray area in there?
Well, I would have to go back and read. It's been a year. This sort of snuck up on me with what has taken place. But I think it just says a referendum, which means to have a vote.
Right.
Now, the thing that concerns me about that is if this referendum were held like, let's say, the meetings where they announced that there was for public input about the UGBs, that if somebody was out of town, I mean, how's this going to take place? Is this just where they put it in the paper and then they have a vote on it, and let's say half the people are out of town or can't attend,
Right.
How will that take place, And you could actually get a skewed vote there where you're not getting.
I haven't thought of that because,
50%.
I didn't ask the mayors that question.
Mm-hmm.
I should have asked them that question, but you're exactly right on that. So that's a great question that we'll have to bring up to them is how that's going to take place in the referendum. And I know David had sent me a text a little earlier that Whitwell had actually passed the second reading, I think, tonight. Their city meeting was tonight and passed the second reading on that growth plan.
I'll take your word. I don't know about that.
Well, that's what I think that's what he said.
No, I'm just saying I don't know on that because it was running almost simultaneous to this.
So I know one of the things the property owners had talked about is the Southeast Tennessee Growth Development.
Southeast Tennessee District Development.
Yes, they had done a study, and
they had done a study, and in that study it showed that for the city of Whitwell, for the next 20 years, based upon that and past information that was gathered using 4 different methods of determining that Whitwell actually had a negative growth, according to statistically, for what would happen over the next 20 years. Which brings the question of why are you increasing the UGB? Now, it says in that document from Southeast Tennessee District Development that it's done primarily for the purpose of the prologue plan was the reason why they did this. But my argument that is that the current UGB is right across the road from this property. In other words, the current UGB basically runs from Morrison Springs Road down to Kettner Mill Road and then runs between Highway 28 and Valley View. And the prologue property is actually west of the Valley View.
Right.
And if you look at the revised urban growth plan.
Hold that thought
Okay.
just a minute. Ernie, we've got a picture of that urban growth plan. We're going to bring that up on the screen so people know what you're talking about there. He's going to bring it up. And so there it is. Looking at it right now, and it's probably hard to tell, but the red portion that you see is right now what's in Whitwell's urban growth plan.
Yes, so that's what.
And the area to the left of that is their proposed urban growth plan.
Yeah, that and also below Kettner Mill Road. Actually, they took it down to Kilgore Road, which is the next road.
So a pretty substantial area.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact acreage involved. It's in the plan. I'm sorry, I didn't have that off the top of my head.
Right.
But in essence, the nearest. Now I'm talking about along Valley View Highway. The nearest part of the city limits is about 3/4 of a mile. In other words, down to the prologue factory, and
Right.
then it then goes beyond that another roughly 3/4 of a mile. And if you take the part that's the furthest from the prologue property, that would be out close to Highway 28 on Kettner Mill. It's almost a mile and a half. So my argument is, if it was just for the purpose to bring the prologue property into connection in the UGB so that they could be annexed, whether it be for grants or whatever the purposes are, that why have they proposed to take in all the rest of this, unless they have an ulterior motive, and that is to eventually annex. Now, last year with that law, Tennessee's been that way for forever, basically, that they could annex.
Right.
And now it's been reversed. Well,
Right.
with the current overspending at the federal limit on the debt, I see there's a possibility to where these grants and so forth that are coming down would gradually dry up, and then it's going to create more problem. And the cities would argue, well, we're going to need the money, but yet you've got people out here who are retired,
Right.
and they're trying to make it on their income, and now the city comes in and says, to some extent, you might look at it and say, we can't manage our money, so we're going to take in more people. And what about the people out here on fixed income? How are they going to?
Right.
Who do they turn to say, oh, you give us more money?
For lack of a better term, more tax revenue. It's a way
Yeah,
to get more people on the tax books.
But all that has to happen is it for it to change due to those pressures, for it to change at the legislature, and now those of us that weren't in the UGB are now in the UGB,
Right.
and we can be annexed if it was to go back that way.
So playing devil's advocate here, let's say, for instance, a city like Whitwell says, for you to have things like water, sewer, fire protection, we need you inside our city limits and paying those taxes.
Well-
What would you say to them?
Well, if you maybe branch on that one thing, and I don't mean to run off askew here,
No.
but according to what it was reported in the Jasper Journal, and I think it was March the 8th, that they were talking about the funds to run a 4-inch water line in for Prologue.
Right.
And what they were talking about, this is a representative from Tennessee American, was suggesting to them that they could get the Tennessee Regulatory Authority to, in essence, do a rate increase on the water to
Right.
provide for that. And this this land that's being proposed as is a private. It's really, in essence, a private. I went blank.
That's
sorry.
all right. We threw you off
yeah.
kilter there a little bit.
It's really a private industrial park. It's not owned by the city of Whitwell. And so my argument is why are you talking about even the possibility of raising the rates on residential
Right.
and farms to provide the water. I mean, can't he drill wells? Or I don't know. There's some of my neighbors have said that. Well, he ought to drill wells. And I'm not trying to be necessarily against him. I'm just saying that why are they wanting to even contemplate that?
So many. I think David's joined us on the phone. David, you on the line?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right.
I know you all are closing out that segment, and I wanted to mention to you some things that just happened at the Whitwell meeting that I'm getting out of now. There was a motion by Harry Holland to have a tax freeze on people 65 or older. Now, before we get too excited, there was some legal ramifications that they weren't sure of, and so they scheduled a work session in July to explore solidifying that. It was on the agenda today that the city of Whitwell approved both Jasper and Whitwell's urban growth plan as a part of the Marion County Planning Commission overall plan. So it was actually, in my mind, a fourth vote on the urban growth boundary extension.
What, David, was that the second reading for Whitwell?
Now, Whitwell had already passed theirs with the requisite 3 readings, and that had already taken place long before.
I
It
see.
took place many months ago.
So I was off kilter with earlier.
This was the one and only required reading of the change in the Marion County Planning Commission plan.
Well, now, question, does all cities, municipalities in the county have to approve that?
That is correct.
So
That is correct.
Whitwell and Jasper has approved, but no other city or municipality?
No, all 9 of them will have to ultimately approve it.
Correct, but what I'm saying, only two of the 9 have approved, not the other 7, right? To our knowledge.
Have not done it yet. That's correct.
Yeah.
As far as I know, which is, I'm basically comfortable saying that I know Kimball, South Pittsburgh, and Jasper have not had those on their agendas yet. So
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that update. We was just talking with Kyle here about, as a property owner, how it affects him. Kyle, one question I had for you, have you calculated the tax increase that will come to you if you're taken into the city?
Well, I don't know myself personally. I've talked to people who have land in Whitwell, and they say that their property taxes are approximately 50% of what the county tax is.
So what it would be?
I don't know, if that follows across all boundaries. But there's also another thing too. I mean, this is all, in other words, it's, yes, they cannot annex right now, but if the legislature changes and they do annex, if they are allowed to do that by ordinance again, then you could find yourself being placed in that and being under the rules of the zoning and so forth.
Yeah.
That you never thought that would be all part of that.
Right. But of course, you would be grandfathered in if you had. I know one of the things in the city, I think in the city of Jasper, one of the big things that was going on is people were talking about in the urban growth development plan, because the city of Jasper didn't allow a mobile home. But if you had one and they took you into the city, they had to keep it, because you were grandfathered in. You had that. But that is big question. What citizens face with annexation, if it comes, and again, right now, if you're watching, this is all just about the urban growth plan, the boundary, increasing the boundary. No one's being annexed at this time, but it's moving that direction.
I might also mention that I have, when this started approximately a year ago, that I got involved with it, that I have taken a petition around, and I have 53 signatures right now of people that are in that, revised urban growth boundary that do not want to be in that. Now, some of those are husband and wife at the same house, so, I guess it depends on how they read on the deed, as far as who votes and who doesn't vote. But
yeah. So a lot of interesting things going on. Well, Kyle, we appreciate you joining us.
Okay,
coming down, talking about what's going on inside the city of Whitwell and around Whitwell. And as time passes and we get more readings of this, we may have you back on so that more individuals can learn about what's going on up there. Stay tuned. Coming up next, Patrick O'Hagan's going to join us. Welcome back to Beyond the Talking Points. David Riley's on his way. We're going to talk some national politics here very soon, but until he gets here, I'm joined now with Patrick O'Hagan. Patrick, glad you're with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And you're with the Tennessee Career Center that's part of the Southeast Tennessee Development District.
Yes, sir.
Got an office in Kimball. I was reading a little online. Y'all got one in Cleveland, Chattanooga. There are several of them around.
We do.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I've been in Kimball here in Marion County for 2 years now in August, and really great to be here. I'm from the area, so it's nice to be offering these services here at home, and great to see that impact that we provide on the workforce. There's various things that we do. The biggest thing, to make it short and sweet, is that we work connecting job seekers with employers.
Oh,
so that's the name of the game every day.
Yeah.
And seeing that job growth here at home.
So you guys have 3 programs that you sort of specialize in, is that right?
That's correct.
What are those 3 programs?
We have an adult program that is open to anyone ages 18 and up. We have a dislocated workers program, which is for people that have been a victim of a layoff. And then we have a youth program, which has recently been revised as of last year, that is specifically for young adults ages 18 to 24.
So if, to help us understand, maybe somebody that's looking for work or been displaced or something, they can come down there.
Absolutely.
And what do you guys do? Do y'all work to sort of help them find something, or?
We do, and it's a very individualized process. And being here in Marion County, we have a small office. We're an affiliate office of that greater 9-county region that you were referring to.
Right.
And that allows us to really work one-on-one with individuals. You're not going to run into bureaucracy that you might find in other places. So very individualized. We'll sit down with you. We're a 2-man team right now. We have Jamette Young, who joined us in February of this year, and he works with the youth program. And between the two of us, one of us will sit down with you, and we can do an intake, find out, what your background is, what your interests are. We want to make sure that we uncover what you want to do long term. So we're looking at career interest, abilities. We can look into training options if that's an option for you, something that you want to pursue.
Really?
We can help you look through that. We even have some programs where we have funding available to assist people with that.
Is that right? So youth coming out of high school,
Correct.
Graduating maybe this year, needing help finding jobs out there, you can sort of help them, put them on a path, and if they need the training, sort of show them where to go and what to do.
Yes, sir.
Boy, that's great. I never knew that was available.
We fly under the radar quite a bit.
Yeah,
and
you really do.
Part of the reason behind that is because we are federally funded through the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, WIOA. We're not allowed to spend any dollars on advertising.
Oh.
So we operate strictly on word of mouth.
So this is word of mouth. They haven't paid us a nickel to be on this show.
That's correct.
So that's really unique. And do you know how many people you've helped in Marion County?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
Been there 2 years now, and from day one when I started, we didn't see very many people.
Sure.
Actually, the history of the Career Center in Marion County is very scarce. Back in 2008, when the recession hit,
Right.
federal funding dried up, and they actually pulled the staff out of the Career Center in Marion County.
Yeah.
So they were part-time before I came on. They had a lady that was working there 2 days a week, and then they brought me on 2 years ago in August,
That's
full-time.
great.
So we're there Monday through Friday.
What?
426 Battle Creek in Kimball.
426 Battle Creek. What's that by?
It's the old Chattanooga State Building. That's the way you'll find
see,
it.
how easy is that? So individuals, and there's no age requirements whatsoever.
That's correct.
If they're needing help finding jobs, they can go down there. You're there Monday through Friday. What's your hours down there?
8 to 4:30.
Do they need to bring anything with them?
They don't. We prefer, if you can, bring your driver's license and social with you. That
Yeah.
helps with the intake process and for enrollments if we decide to go that route.
Right.
And then we follow the WIA guidelines, and so we have to follow that from
So
the federal
for folks
level.
that don't know, what's the WIA guideline?
WIOA is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. That was signed into law in 2014, and it is a workforce development public law. And that's what allows us to offer the services that we do. We're not a temp service. People sometimes think that, or call
Right.
up on the phone and think we might do placements or that sort of thing. We're strictly there, free
You're
of
trying to
charge
help
for the
long-term-
community. Yes, sir.
long-term community. Man, that is great. Working to find, because I know that's one of the big things. Unemployment rate in our communities a little higher than the state and national levels, and so trying to help individuals find work-related programs, that's just good news. You don't hear a lot of that. So if an individual comes down, tell us the process. They meet with you all. Do you try to match their skills with jobs that are available? Do employers come to you and say, we have these jobs available, or how does that work?
Yes, sir. Excellent question. So it works in various ways. We keep a running log of local job openings at the Career Center in Kimball. So we're constantly looking online. We use jobsfortennessee.gov, which is a Department of Labor website job board that's free to use. Lots of employers here locally utilize that website.
Right.
And then we also talk with employers on a regular basis.
So you've sort of got a list
We do have a
of
list.
what's needed in the county, and I'm sure some of those jobs are outside of the county.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
whatever's available.
Yep. And we focus based on what that individual needs. So if they want to go to Chattanooga, and make that commute and fight the traffic, then we'll help them find a job there.
Well, I do it every day. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
You do.
You know,
and then, but we try to foster those opportunities here locally as well.
Yeah.
We have an on-the-job training opportunity that we partner with local employers, and that's a special program that we use, a special set of funds to fund half of their training costs when they make a new hire.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. Do you have any programs going on right now?
We currently do. We operate an OJT program with Lodge Manufacturing in South Pittsburgh, and with O'Neill Color and Compounding in Jasper.
Oh, so that's really good.
And we're always looking to make new ones.
So that's great. If you're just tuning in, Patrick O'Hagan with us here. Patrick, if they want to get in touch with you, somebody's watching out there today and they say, I really need a job and I don't really know what to do. What do? They call you? They come down there? What do they need to do?
Whatever's more convenient for you. We're here to serve you. So
426
Battle Creek Road.
Battle Creek Road. Well, all right. Patrick, I appreciate you coming on with us.
Thanks so much.
Telling us a little bit about what's going on. We're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, my good friend David Riley is going to join us, and we're going to talk some national politics. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Beyond the Talking Points. David Riley is here with me finally. He has made it in. David, if you can't get to work on time, just get to work when you can.
The way I see it, I've looked at the paycheck I received for this, and I feel no animosity whatsoever about showing up late.
What paycheck? I didn't get one. I missed that.
Oh, well, I forgot to tell you.
Yeah. We were supposed to have a local actor on this week, but I think he had to cancel.
Yeah, he actually got a casting call.
Is that right? Hey, tell me, I was trying to remember. I know he appeared in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
What was the other show?
Truthfully, I was very specific with him. I didn't want him to spill too much beans because I couldn't
remember, and I was just impressed.
He worked as a recurring role on a Tyler Perry series.
Tyler Perry, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, because both those shows film in Atlanta, so anytime he gets a call, he has to take a 2-hour trip. So
that's part of the go.
Yeah, and since he very much gets more money for that than he was going to get here, I encouraged him to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to talk a little bit about national politics. If you're listening, want to call in, you're welcome to call in, give us your opinion on that. The telephone number on the screen right now, but remember, you got to be nice if you call in and talk about national politics.
We have no problem with disagreement.
Absolutely.
But civility is going to be paramount.
So I'm excited because my girl, Hillary Clinton, has finally got the Democratic nomination, presumptive nominee. What do you think about that? Obama endorsed her today.
I'm excited not to be a Democrat.
Elizabeth Warren got endorsed her today. I think Joe Biden was going to do it, but I had to come on the show. I had to stop listening to XM radio.
It's a hard life you live.
Yeah, and so I'm pretty excited. What do you think?
Well, I am too, because I think chances of getting a conservative in the White House have probably quadrupled now.
You think so?
Well, look, truthfully, everybody, both sides of the aisle, has had their own skepticism about their candidate, and we